Alright, gang. I think we just need to go ahead and jump right into this. Hi. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today I wanted to do a little review about Hocus Pocus 2 because I was kind of excited for this. Excited in the sense that it's Hocus Pocus and I already knew we were gonna have the original 3 same actresses reprising their roles, so that was exciting for me. Not excited because it was Hocus Pocus 2 and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Why mess with the original and add another movie afterwards when the original is already so good and just doesn't need anything altered? You know what I mean? So before we get into that, if you want to watch full-length reactions or get movie reviews earlier than when I post them here on YouTube, I highly encourage you to check out the Patreon. Link for that will be in the description. Okay, so I have a couple things I want to say about this. I might do spoiler, probably not. I'll try my best to work around it, but let me start off with the pros. One, the Sanderson sisters are amazing, as always. They are definitely the best part of this movie, I will say. They're always funny, and they just play off each other so well, and that's to be expected, you know what I mean? That's kind of it for the pros. I will say this, I did kind of like the ending, and I know, or at least I think that some people did not like the ending for this, but I personally did. It made me tear up a little bit, and I think maybe because I can kind of relate. I have 2 sisters, a trio of sisters, if you will, so I can kind of relate, and we always talked about this movie, and all 3 of us being the Sanderson sisters and all that, so the ending really connected with me on a personal level, but I can understand why someone wouldn't like it because there are parts of it that I didn't like. The aspect of it I enjoyed, but it tied in with the movie and the plot I did not enjoy. For me, it just did not really make sense. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead into the cons. For me, the ending just didn't really make sense in terms of who the Sanderson sisters are. They're just funny, witty, evil witches, and that's all we need to know about them. And this movie really tries to delve deeper and really try to show you their personality, them growing up, a little bit more of an intimate look into them, which is fine, I guess, but that's not really something I was particularly interested in watching, you know what I mean? I just wanted to watch more of the Sanderson sisters just being funny with each other. Another con is, one, I felt like they were way more mean to each other in this one than the first one. In the first one, I felt like it was funny, but this one I was like, Jesus, they're like kind of mean. At one point, Winifred just straight up slapped Sarah like in the face. And I was like, okay, this is that's kind of intense. I mean, she didn't even do that in the last one, and I felt like she was so much more evil in the last one. The other actors besides the Sanderson sisters, so it follows these 3 best friends. I did not really like them, to be completely honest, and it has nothing to do with the actors. I think it's just how they were written, because this movie is so much more of a kids movie than the first one. The first one didn't really feel that much like a kids movie because there was a lot of jokes that adults could get, and this one there were pretty much none. There was like one innuendo and that was about it, but this one just was so ultra PG that it was kind of irritating at certain points. And when movies are super ultra PG, they make the characters re-explain everything after they just happened. The Sanderson sisters will show up and fly away, and then someone will be like, did we just light the black flame candle and bring the Sanderson sisters back to life after whatever 400, 500 years of being dead? Did that just happen? And it's a little a little much. I'm like, yes, Miss Bitch, like we just saw that happen. Again, I understand. I'm not a kid, so those parts are for kids. However, they knew that making a Hocus Pocus 2 was gonna bring in a majorly adult audience. More adults are going to be watching Hocus Pocus 2 than children. I felt like that was just not necessary for them to be so ultra PG, because what makes the first movie so funny is that it's not super ultra PG. I feel like I keep saying that, but I feel like you guys will know what I'm talking about. All right, but listen to me when I say this, you guys. All of that would have been perfectly fine and dandy if they didn't have one scene in there. And this isn't a spoiler, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed. There is a scene where you get a quick glimpse of a couple sitting on their couch watching Hocus Pocus. They have a scene in Hocus Pocus 2 where a couple is watching Hocus Pocus, the very first one. What sense does that make? It made me so mad. I mean, you can ask my husband. When that happened, I was like, what? Why? How? But this just reiterates my point. I know that maybe for kids, they won't notice it. Maybe even for adults, they're kind of just like, hey, another nudge or another reference, whatever, to the first Hocus Pocus. But if you're going to make a sequel, you can't mess with the timeline, the movie timeline of having the people in the sequel, the same exact people, be in the actual movie that we humans in this timeline, in this universe, are watching. It doesn't make any sense at all. I feel like it was just a random little nudge, little, hey, remember the first movie kind of thing, but it just confused me. It irked me so much more than it actually needed to. Like, I don't know why it bugged me so much, because I know that it was kind of just supposed to be like a playful thing, but it didn't make sense. It was very unnecessary, and it just made me mad because they're watching it in this universe. I mean, in their own universe, they're watching it. That'd be like, I don't even know what that would be like, actually. It would be like that very scenario that is happening right now. So I just thought that was just a weird, random thing that happened, and it needs to be talked about more because it knocked it down for me. I was like, nope, doesn't make sense in the universe. I was fine with the whole other plots going on. Every other plot going on, I was fine with in relation to the universe, but when they brought that in, I was like, nope, this can't happen. This can't happen. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But like I said, it reiterates my point of, oh, this is just a kid's movie. I'm calling BS on that. They made this for the adults that watched the first movie. You know what I mean? No 9-year-old is watching freaking the first Hocus Pocus or was even alive when it came out. You know what I mean? They are making it for the adults that grew up on this. They aren't making it for the 6-year-olds that they're trying to pretend is the target audience, because adults are gonna watch it. They're gonna see that scene probably just like I did and be like, freak. They're watching their own movie in their own universe. That doesn't make any sense at all. So that was something that really freaking bugged me. And I will say this, like I said, the Sanderson sisters are the best part of the movie. However, I feel like you could tell that they were tired. You can definitely tell that they were older and they weren't giving it their all. The first one, they were just like so animated, hand motions and bleh, like in your face. And this one, it was dialed back a lot. And that's obvious. Okay, so in terms of my rating, I'm pretty sure I gave this maybe a 3-star. I don't know. Maybe I would rewatch this because there were some clever parts of it that connected with the Sanderson sisters interacting with modern day technology stuff, and that was interesting, but I feel like there were just some parts that were just boring, you know? People don't want to watch adults doing stuff unless it's the Sanderson sisters, and that was kind of the problem with this one. There was a whole nother character that was interacting with Billy Butcherson for like the entirety of the movie, and I just could not care less about that plot, truly. And then there's a whole plot about the mayor. I could not care less about that either. So I felt like the writing was very lackluster. Of course, it's not the same director, writer, Kenny Ortega. Kiss Kiss Kiss, we love him. So it definitely felt like that too, and they wanted more of an emotional aspect and I guess more personal connection rather than going based purely off nostalgia. Because let me tell you, there were some parts that they added just for the nostalgia, but I feel like it didn't really tie in. They were just like, oh, and there's my black cat. And it's like, oh, it's supposed to be because like there's a black cat in the first one. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? It just didn't connect. So yeah, maybe I would rewatch this, but of course they knew this probably going into it. It was not going to be as good as the first one. I felt like this was just not necessary at all to have, but Hollywood, hello. They never care about that. Anyways, and I want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons, and especially to Matt O'Keefe, AJ, Mark Sylvester, Edward Fisher, and Terrell. Thank you so much, guys, and make sure to go ahead and check out my Patreon if you haven't already. Alright, so link for my Patreon will be in the description below. Let me know what you guys thought about this movie. I think my opinion overall is just that it was not necessary for this movie to happen. There were some things that I liked, but overall I was not very satisfied. It was okay, I guess. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you've seen it, if you're not watching it because you don't want to watch it and basically feel the way that I do right now, because I totally understand that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that jazz. And as always, thanks for watching.